So I didn't show a build plan video for this blaster because I wasn't sure how it was going to work out after I kind of got the idea. I just didn't know how it was going to look and if I thought it was going to be any good. But once I started putting it together, I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. So I wanted to go ahead and show you the completed product, and of course we'll do a demo with it as well. So this started as a basic M4 Gen 8.5 from Emerboo. I did the motor swap because this is the old version where I have a different high-speed 11.1 motor that works better with that setup. So I swapped that out. Obviously it still has the same metal gears inside. It has the same standard metal inner barrel. And then I switched out to an M95 spring, so that's slightly better than what was in there, which is like a 1.2, which is just a different sizing system, which is, you know, again, somewhere between M90 and M95. But really what you can see here is I made an adapter for a SCAR stock. So I had an extra SCAR stock lying around, and I had just made that M249 with the SCAR stock adapter that I thought was really cool. So I thought, is there any way I can do it? Obviously it's going to be taller, and that was the one thing, just knowing the height difference and how am I going to adjust for that so it doesn't look too crazy or too stupid. You know, so it's definitely more an extreme build, but this was my solution, right? So I made this top piece along here, which actually was part of this 3D print for some kind of Star Wars based airsoft gun, right? So I had to elongate it. I used a different, I used a piece of barrel left over from another blaster to kind of just connect that long top piece there. And that gave me the height difference here, okay? So it's kind of like a riser, but a little different, right? So I did that there. These connector pieces just again add stability, but also cover, I had to take out obviously the charging handle, and I actually had to kind of cut that little bump off where the charging handle slides underneath because it was up too high. I had to have it the same height as the rest of the rails, right? So that kind of covers that up, also adds some stability, and I thought let's tie in a different brown just because these are all kind of different tans and browns. So that's what I did there with that. Now, because I lost the charging handle for priming, instead I went ahead and I moved the priming function over here. So the forward assist button here, when you push that, that actually primes. So that was kind of cool to be able to move that over there, still maintain the prime function for priming the mag. Now I always talk about, the prime function is really cool. I like it, but it's not really necessary because every time you pull the trigger, it's running the motor in the mag, and that's going to, of course, feed the gel balls. But I still, I still like it like most of you do, and I try to incorporate it when I can, when we have that option, and that's, built into this blaster. Stock still folds fine, which is nice. I decided to go ahead with this nice rail piece up here because again that ties the two together, adds stability, and just kind of topped it off nicely. Put the sights on there. Those sights are actually from an Emerboo MK8, so that's where those came from. I have this long rail along the side, which again you could see over here as well, right? So you got this long rail along the side. And what I was doing too was I was trying to reuse a lot of pieces that I had on hand. I don't like them to go to waste. If they were already printed or available, I figured I should try to use them. So these rails are from some other older blaster where I just have kind of a bunch of them, right? So I did that and then put this little angled piece on here so that you can have your optic, your holographic going off of that piece. This front piece on here was from another build I did in the past that when I was going through my blasters, I just wasn't happy with it, so I disassembled it. And I thought that would go nicely with this because it's kind of adding the width. Initially, my build idea for this was going to make it kind of futuristic style, but after I started messing with it a little more, and because I didn't want to disassemble and paint the stock, that's actually a lot of work, I thought it would be better to go ahead and keep it with the desert tan style. So that's what I did. Obviously, we got a nice bright red outer barrel here threaded tip, so the inner metal barrel does go right up to the threaded tip, and then we have just a nice you know, flash hider on the end. Got a little grip down here. So overall, I think it turned out pretty good. I was actually pleasantly surprised as I was putting it together, because you just kind of, you never know when you're kind of building these as you go. You're trying to use up stuff that you have on hand, and you're just never quite sure exactly how it's going to turn out. So the only new pieces I really had to print was this long piece up here, and then this receiver, which I, you know, again, was able to build in my slicer program on my computer before I printed it. So I've mentioned before, I don't know how to model 3D prints. I kind of have tried to learn, but I don't want to invest a ton of time into it. So instead, essentially, I build STLs using multiple STLs. And that can work out good sometimes, but also it seems to affect the quality of the STL. So then when you go to print it, there can be a lot of post-processing, because it doesn't lay down as nice of a print, because that quality of that STL is basically too low. Kind of think about it like if you print a low resolution picture versus high resolution, it just doesn't look as nice. So then you just have to clean it up a lot more. That's why, you know, like I end up doing like kind of these top pieces just like that, to kind of clean up spots where I wasn't happy with the layers that were put down from the 3D printer. But overall, again, very happy with this. I think it's pretty cool. Get some good performance. I think you guys will like the demo and FPS test, so make sure to check that out. Let me know what you guys think about it. I guess I'm just going to call it an M4-SCAR, because that's kind of what it ended up looking like. Would have been cool, of course, to, now that I think about it, to make it like a really short SCAR, so it'd be like just a really kind of short-barreled SCAR. But since the metal barrel goes all the way out to here anyway, it's probably, I would have done some kind of longer fake suppressor on it. Cutting metal barrels I try to avoid, because then you just have to, you can end up with little burrs that can affect your gel balls as they come out. And then also you need to deal with messing with porting the cylinder in the gearbox, and there's a whole different mathematical equation for that. And I definitely don't feel like I've mastered that yet, so it's easier to just keep that cylinder non-ported and go with the standard barrel, or go to a longer barrel where you don't need to worry about it. So there you go, my M4-SCAR. That was a long video, but I had to do a lot of description since I never did a build plan. Let me know what you think. Comments, questions, post them below. Of course, like, subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and participate in the monthly giveaways. Thanks for your support.